set to begin. It's 2019. When offensive play caller Joe Craddock and Chad Morris, of course, were down there. Wide receivers coach Justin Stepp. Chase Hayden bottled up on third down and short, his second.
Probably don't offensively get anything for picking it up right here, do you?
The defense
the drive
will get 3 points instead of the 2 on the 3 and outs. The drive continues. Gordon Curtis has been outstanding, and Nolan has been exceptional.
And then in and amongst there, you have Kelly Bryant coming in here and Nick won't be here until the summertime, and that is a mouthful. And the translation is they're going to get after people when they have the advantage, and there's going to be a ton of man-to-man on the perimeter. And you saw them do something other than just getting better, and that's what the belt was. And the defense absolutely dominated that, but you would expect it. The offense was.
Call me crazy. You're talking about a move that maybe Aaron Donald.
You execute that double swap.
Pass right into traffic is
hands off of you if you're a rusher. And you want to create separation as quickly as you can.
Arkansas quarterback on this possession. And we're told we'll be able to touch base with Coach Morris a little bit in short order as well. Any thoughts that top 25 class at number 23? That's the good news. The interesting news is that ranks in the lower thirds.
This is what I think is going on in the program currently, and it happens with an athlete as well. Chad Morris believes in the moment he got in that program. They had a lot of pieces at that point in Clemson, but they didn't have that guy. And Taj Boyd was a nice player, but he wasn't Deshaun Watson.
There you saw the burst by Knox, and there he goes towards the end zone. The talented freshman scores the first touchdown of the afternoon from 45 yards out, and that's what number 7 in white brings to the table for the Hawks in 2019.
And Trey Knox is obviously a part of the 2019 recruiting class, enrolled early. I think there were 11 or 12 guys that enrolled early to get experience in the spring. But this is what Trey Knox could do. A ball that's on target, on the body, and then the big body receiver at 6'5", almost 220 pounds. The coach is making it.
Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. It's our Wednesday edition of On the Hill with Pat Jenkins Sports Talk Radio, and boy, do I have a lot of energy and excitement for this Wednesday. It's hump day, but it's always a good day, and as you noticed, we came in with a little spring football from the University of Arkansas, and we'll be just going through, Demetrius and myself. It's our time to talk. You guys can interact with us, as you can reach us here today. Any segment you want to at 479-601-7400. We're going to break down, Demetrius and I will break down the LSU Tigers. We'll play a little Ed Orgeron audio. Also, too, later on in the hour, you'll hear Matt Luke as he breaks down and gives you a little tidbit as he's got a couple of new assistants, how they're going to figure in through the Ole Miss program. And then Demetrius and I will talk about the Ole Miss Rebels as well. If you have any questions, like I said, you want to chime in, SEC, spring football, Arkansas basketball, where are things? How do you feel about Eric Musselman, a month on the job? Also, today at 5:30, the Arkansas women's softball team will be taking on the Georgia Lady Bulldogs in the first round of the SEC women's softball tournament. But I want to introduce and bring in my co-host, Demetrius Johnson. But you all know him here on this show as my home guy. What you got going on this Wednesday, my brother?
Not much. I'm just vibing this morning.
You always vibe. You woke up, I think I talked to you around 8 or 9, and like I said, you're not supposed to be up as early as I am, being the young guy that you are. But we got a pretty good show. I mean, what are some things you're going to be looking forward when we talk about LSU, here in the next segment? And, what are some topics when you talk about the Tigers that comes to mind for 2019?
Really, what's interesting to me is who's going to be their playmakers. I really don't know. Usually when you hear LSU team, a defensive player and an offensive player that you for sure know are game changers. But this year, I'm really unfamiliar with the roster. To me, it's kind of a rebuild stage. They have a lot of guys that have to create that brand for LSU. I'm big on brands, and I'm big on knowing who your workhorses are. And I think outside looking in, nobody really knows who LSU's workhorses are this year. But I think that can be an advantage.
Totally agree with you. I think the biggest thing that I'm going to have when you talk about LSU is who's going to fill Devin White's spot at the linebacker, who's going to be the quarterback on that side for Coach Aranda, and also quarterback play. How much has that position improved? Because I think that's going to be a real key part to how the Bayou Bengals, how their season progresses on. If you get no production at that spot, it's really going to be hard to, move yourself ahead of the, in my opinion, A&M's and the Alabamas in the SEC West. But another one, when we talk about Ole Miss, and we'll momentarily get into them in the 1:30 hour. Matt Luke, year 2. What are you seeing from this team? I don't think I'm going to see too much improvement, but Demetrius, what's your honest opinion as Arkansas will be making their way down to Oxford for this upcoming SEC ball game?
Are you talking baseball or are we still talking football?
And we're talking on the football realm.
On the football side, I think they're still at their rebuild stage. I still think they're dealing with that backlash from the NCAA ban from the post game. I think that's big when you're recruiting and trying to get those in-state talents and those big 4 or 5 stars. But I think that should end, if I'm not mistaken, this year, because it was only 2 years that they were banned.
I believe it was, but we're going to step away, and now we're going to let you hear some audio from LSU head football coach Ed Orgeron as he breaks down a little bit more in detail. But before we get to that audio, I want to talk about the LSU Tigers more in depth. This is a program, in my opinion, that has all of the pieces to be the big dog in the SEC. But for whatever reason, Demetrius, they just can never get that quarterback to make to take them to that from good to the elite level. And I think that, like I said, continuously, that's going to be the problem. And I don't know what it is about LSU that you can fill every other spot. I mean, if you look at it, and we've had a chance here for the past 2 or so years when LSU's come to town, Demetrius, we see the type of athlete that they have. And I don't think there's a more athletic on paper when they walk on the football field, looking team than LSU. And that's, for me, Alabama included. I mean, LSU, those kids look the part. They just can't get it right at quarterback.
I 100% agree. That's going back to I don't know who those workhorses are going to be this year. So that's really what I'm looking forward to. Well,
we're going to talk to Coach Owen. Here's what he had to say, and then we'll be back more to talk Bayou Bengals. It's on the Hill with Pat Jenkins on KDSJ 479.
Very well on short yardage, 3rd down and 2, 3rd down and 1. Then we had a 3rd down period. The offense completed some balls. I thought the passing game was excellent on Saturday. Then we had a 1st down scrimmage. The offense really threw the deep ball well. They moved the ball. I thought Miles Brennan had his best day. Completed passes, running around, working with the second team. So did Joe. Jamar Chase was excellent. So was Justin Jefferson. I just think that those receivers had a good day. Today we had goal line. The defense did very well on goal line. It was a very spirited practice. We had 9 on 7. The offense ran the ball better. We feel that with this team is competition, and sometimes the offense wins, sometimes the defense wins, just how we want it, and makes us get better. We're over halfway through the spring ball. We've got a lot of things in. We've got a lot of things we want to do. I think that the combination of Steve Ensminger and Joe Brady have been fantastic. We get better on offense, and it's something we need to see. I want to play him. I definitely want to play him. And you go to the game. Joe's our quarterback. But there's any time that we can play Miles, we feel that this year he's healthy. I think he's a really good quarterback, and we have to get him some experience. I don't think there's going to be a big drop off when he gets in the game. No, Joe's our quarterback, and we're just gonna be a wait and see thing. We'll put Miles in. Well, he's gained weight. He's worked hard in the 4th quarter. He's ready to play. I mean, there's no doubt that if something happens to Joe, that Miles can go in and be a damn good player for us.
The defensive guy, I've heard that the offenses look pretty impressive in this stuff as a defensive coach. You kind of tip your hat and like, hey,
No, everybody's mad. defensive coaches are not happy, including the head coach, because he's a defensive coach too. But I'm happy to see the offense doing it, but they are doing some things. Now, we tried to throw the deep ball on the defense today, and the defense knocked it down. So here's another example that if something's broke, we fix it right away. I'm telling you, this is one of the best coaching staffs I've ever been with. They're hardworking. We meet at 6 o'clock in the morning. Everybody's in the office about 5:30, and they don't leave the office till 10, 11 night in the spring. This is an excellent coaching staff and our analysts. We have some new analysts that are really helping us out with the coaching staff. We go over everything in detail. I think we have a fantastic staff.
How different is the offense from when you guys started the spring?
Well, we have more spread. We're more spread, more RPOs, more 3 wide receiver sets, more 4 wide receiver sets, and sometimes 5. And that's what we wanted. So I think you're looking at more of a spread offense than we've ever been.
You mentioned Miles had his best day on that scrimmage. What made it his best day?
Man, his completion ratio, I don't know what it was, but he threw some good balls. He ran the ball well on the options. He made some good throws, made some decisions. He was on fire.
How do you evaluate the running back room in a situation like this where maybe you got some guys?
Welcome back. It's On the Hill with Pat Jean Sports Talk Radio. It's our Wednesday edition of On the Hill with Pat Jean Sports Talk Radio. As you can catch us each and every day here live, via our YouTube channel. That's On the Hill Pat Jean Sports Talk. Or you can catch us on Facebook Live. Also, too, you can catch us on KDSJ 479 from 1 to 2 p.m. And got a lot going on talking about the LSU Tigers. But I want to also, too, talk about the SEC West as a whole with my co-host today. And if you want to chime in, you can also do that by calling 479-601-7400. That will get you into today's conversation. All topics. We'll talk about Arkansas baseball, Arkansas football, basketball, or the SEC in general. But I want to kick over to Demetrius. And, when you look at the SEC West, everybody, no matter where you go, the general consensus is Alabama is head and shoulders above the other 6 teams. Not so much LSU, Auburn, and A&M as, has been in the past. But, when I look at the conference in general, and in particular the West, in your opinion, how large is that gap when you talk about those schools, Alabama, LSU, A&M, Auburn, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Arkansas?
The funny thing about it is I don't think we really know right now. I think it's I kind of feel the SEC is kind of up in the air when you think of who's going to be good. When you look at Georgia, they even had 2 upsets last year that a lot of people wasn't really expecting.
Right.
Then you have Alabama getting beat by Clemson. I think people expected that, but didn't know if it really would come to fruition. So then you have LSU over there. We always have high demand on them.
Right.
But you got to think, LSU hasn't even won the SEC West in
quite some time.
I was probably still in high school when LSU. No, I'm serious. I graduated in 2010. I was probably still in high school when LSU won their last SEC West championship.
Right.
Because I think Tyrann he made 12.
I think it was 2010, 2011. Joe Adams. I want to say 2011.
2011. So we're still almost talking 10 years. So I don't know. And then Texas A&M, it's kind of. I think you see progression, but we don't know what's the stability like there. I think they have the resources to really make A&M competitive out of the SEC West, but we still don't know how far that gap is really.
See, I think you can take it a step further. When you look at Mississippi State, Arkansas, and Ole Miss, to the eye, it doesn't look like that they're a very talented, group when you compare them to the Auburns, LSU, A&Ms, and Alabamas. True. But when you do look at that, there's a lot of talent on all the rosters, and that's 1 through 7 in the SEC West. And I agree with you, Demetrius. It's all about where you lost certain players, age and experience. There's no substitute for that. I think when you look at the roster, Auburn, they have to be the most question mark team in the entire SEC West. I think they have a large amount of talent. Now, Gus Malzahn and staff have recruited at a very high level, but it just seems they can't get it right. It seems like they're the can't get right of the SEC West. Yeah, they're the can't get right, and so that's where I'm really looking at. Arkansas is going to have a team coming out of an 0-8 season, but you look at their defensive line, will be a very formidable defensive front, and we all know when you have great defensive lines and you're very solid up the middle in the SEC, you have a chance to be very good. And where's Arkansas really the strongest?
Right
heading into this year's
you
season.
can't forget Missouri, because we had that Missouri writer come on and speak about how Missouri has not yet lost their eligibility to go to a postseason.
Right.
So with that information and knowing that information, I think Missouri is going to have to be a team that we have to really look out for, that can maybe pop their head in out of that East and come on out of there with that championship this year.
And then when you look at Ole Miss is a team with adding Rich Rodriguez. We all know he might not have been the greatest of head coaches, but when you talk about a guy in the collegiate profession that can put a headset on and you put him either on the field or in the press box and you ask him to call plays, he's going to do it at a very, very, very elite level. I think adding Rich Rodriguez will add a lot of more game planning, scheming if you're a defensive coordinator throughout the SEC West and throughout the SEC, because he's going to bring some different different ideas to the SEC, having played in the Big 12. We all knew what he was able to do at his time at Virginia. And just to a certain degree, Demetrius, he did it to a very average level at Arizona during his time as the head coach. So that, that's going to be some questions that we all, as SEC fans around the SEC at all schools, are going to be keeping their eye out. But I think Ole Miss, and it might sound a little crazy, I think Ole Miss is going to be one of those teams, Demetrius, to beat somebody in the West that they should not beat, and it's going to cost that team when we talk about SEC championships and we look on into where teams go, as far as bowl destinations are concerned.
I have to agree with you. I think Arkansas can also be that team, and I'm not just saying that because we cover Arkansas. I really think this year Arkansas is going to get that first SEC win under Chad Morris, and it's going to be against a team that we probably didn't circle on the game at the beginning of the schedule, saying this is the one we're banking on winning. I think it's going to be a bold, determining game. I think if Arkansas can win one of those upsets early on, because that A&M game is going to be big too, man.
Right.
That's going to be a huge game that I think a lot of people haven't really started thinking about, but just thinking what we were talking about, just Arkansas maybe possibly upsetting somebody that can have a big post play. A&M's one of them, man. We saw their the spring game, and they're trying to sling that ball this year. They lost their running back this year, which was a big, I would say, at least 60 to 75% of their offense last year.
Right.
So it's going to be interesting to see how the A&M game goes with Arkansas.
Yeah, and it always seems to be that way each and every year in the Southwest Classic down there in Jerry's World. Is however that goes for either team. It seems like A&M always comes out of it a little banged up and can never kind of get back on their feet health-wise. Arkansas, if they've won that game, it's always been a trend upward. If they haven't won that game, we're all very, very aware of how the past 6 or so years have gone following that football game. Not to the degree of Razorback fans or the coaching staff, for that matter, their expectations. But I really think that this game this year is going to be one of high emphasis. I think it may have a ability to have two really good, solid SEC football teams when they meet in Jerry's World coming up. But I also think when you look at Arkansas health-wise, how healthy can this team be? As to where and how far they do have a chance to go, because I think offensively they have some pieces there, Demetrius, and as always, the offensive line has been a question. It seems like for the past 100 years, but I think with the experience, I really anticipate the anchor of the offensive line to be Colton Jackson, and if Colton can really man that left side, it's going to take a lot of pressure off, because when you have a left tackle that's really, really of conference caliber recognition, and I do think Colton, having played so much football, has the ability to do that. That has to be big for guys like Cheyenne and Raheem and the receivers, because now protection leads to a lot of playmaking ability.
Because I was going to say, I really think a lot of people are looking at Raheem Boyd. Then you have Taylon Burks on the outside. Then you have C.J. O'Grady at tight end. There's pieces on the offense and guys that can really make big plays and the type of plays to really open up that air raid. But I'm really looking at who's going to fill that slot position, who's going to be that inside slot receiver, because I believe that inside slot receiver is where the mismatches is really going to take place, whether that's Shamar Moore.
So let me ask you, I mean, with so many slot receivers, because you mentioned Davion Warren, Tyson Morris is a guy that comes to mind. Jordan Jones, I think, would fit that, that inside receiver. But then again, she said the true freshman, Shamar Nash.
Honestly, if it's me, just the way I see the offense and the type of offense I envision, I'm going to put Davion Warren. The reason why I say that is because we have to have that guy that can go 0 to 100 in a step. And I think Davion Warren is one of those type of guys that when he puts his foot in the ground, he can accelerate at a fast pace, and that's what you want your slot to be. You want to have a guy that's really quick and elusive, so he's doing those quick 5 and outs, and he's already open because you sent your boundary receiver on a go route. And that Taylor Burks had that speed to where DBs are going to have to respect his straight line speed.
Right.
And I think that, again, that's where you're going to see your mismatches to where you can start sending Rakeem out on little screens, little flats. And it's really going to do some special things, because I know we're thinking about defense really anchoring the team, but like you said, if we can get identity within this offense, once all the positions have came and all the players have came in, because we still haven't got Nick Starkle. We still haven't got KJ Jefferson, so we're not even really sure if Ben Hicks is really the true guy. And I like that. I like that we necessarily haven't found that guy, but we also have identified a guy that can at least run the ship so far. So I think Arkansas, they can have a really good camp and really, go all out and really understand what it is that you're trying to do from an offensive standpoint. I think they can be special.
When you take that slot receiver, try this on for size. Maybe TQ Jackson, the true freshman.
Absolutely. I forgot about TQ. You're absolutely right.
Treylon Burks is a guy that maybe you might want to experiment, because I think this young man, out of Warren, Arkansas, I think this is going to be a special, special young man. I think he and Trey Knox have a chance to do some things here at Arkansas that hadn't been done, and I mean in a long time. And I've covered this program, and you've been around the program. Those two kids have the it factor, and like you said, when you have a young man, TQ Jackson is one of the fastest young gentlemen coming out of the state of Texas, and he's 6'3". And also, too, how about Corlin Jackson sliding there in that little
absolutely? I forgot
slot
about
receiver
Corlin.
spot.
So to me, I say that slot receiver is going to take a lot of pressure, even when you think about it off the line of scrimmage.
Right.
Because they're going to have to respect that speed that we have on the outside. And I think that was one of the things Chad Morris really held his hat on and really wanted to bring Arkansas a speed. I don't want to I don't want to be chasing speed. I want to have it. I want people to be chasing us. And I think you're slowly starting to see that. And you're really going to see it as the year progresses from an offensive standpoint. And again, it's so many combinations that I'm seeing. And you know what? I'm really hard on the offensive coordinator. I can't think of his name.
Yeah, Joe Craddock.
Joe Craddock. I'm really hard on Joe Craddock, but I feel like this year I expect to see a open playbook.
Right.
I don't expect to see a vanilla playbook where we're running these basic plays. I think the skill players that we have is going to require us to come up with some unique formations, some unique type of pick plays to get our guys that can really make plays in the open field of the ball, and I didn't see a lot of that last year. So I really want to see us as an offensive unit, from play calling to play formations, really take another step this year.
Well, we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to see what Matt Luke has to say, head coach of the Ole Miss Rebels, about his play calling and who's going to be the playmakers on his Ole Miss Rebels football team. And then we're going to come back and continue to make the plays that Demetrius and I make here on Wednesday. It's On the Hill with Pat Jenkins on KDSJ 479. Let's get it.
Devin led the Southeastern Conference in tackles in 2000. Edmonds Alaire. Curry, touchdown, 3 yards. Goes in the point after.
But to answer your question, Grant is a very, very good thrower. He comes from a great program in Allen, but he's also a very willing runner. So I think he has the ability to do both, and that's really what we want to do. We still want to be balanced with a little bit more of a emphasis on running the football, especially in the red zone.
When you talk about that balance, Matt, what do you expect this offense to look like in terms of run versus pass?
Well, you know what? I think part of being a good offense is doing what your skill set allows it to do. And I think, Coach Rodriguez, he's known as from quarterback run, but he's also had systems where he's had, talented passers and talented receivers. So I think, getting a feel this spring would be very, very important. But I do want a physical blue-collar mindset. Now, I think that's the edge that he'll bring to the offense in a run first and set up the play action off of it mentality. But again, a lot of it will be predicated on Matt Corral and how he does, and then some of these young receivers as well.
Can you comment on the health of Montrell Custis, Jalen Jones, and DeMarcus Gregory?
Yeah, so DeMarcus will be out there. DeMarcus Gregory will be out there practicing. Custis and Jalen Jones still have a ways to go, so they'll be in green jerseys. They'll be doing the walkthroughs, but won't be able to participate in any of the team drills or endo. But they will be out there in green jerseys, and just so to help with the installation of the new defense.
Talked a little bit about developing at wide receiver. Obviously, a lot of bodies to replace in that room right now. What do you expect from the receivers that you have in? I know you got a couple of early enrollees and also some young players returning.
Yeah, absolutely. We got some talented guys in there, and it's their turn to step up. I think one of the unique things that you've seen in our receiver room is even Dante Moncrief passing along the work ethic, and it's kind of gone on down the line, all the way down to AJ and DK, but now it's time for a new crop of receivers to step up, and I'm really excited. Elijah made a bunch of plays for us last year, so he'll be back. Same thing with Braylon Sanders, but now Miles has got to step up. Excited about what Dontario Drum has done since he's been here. So it's just an opportunity for a lot of young guys to step up.
Matt, with the the new NCAA rules that's allowing y'all some time on the field, non-ball stuff with your team, how much install have you guys been able to accomplish over the last 3 weeks?
Welcome back. It's our Wednesday edition of On the Hill with Pat Cheekin Sports Talk Radio, coming to you live each and every day here on KDSJ 479. And real quick, a real special shout out to our sponsors, Lindsay & Associates, the Baymont Hotel, Locomotion, and our newest sponsor, Corey Beck's Custom Painting. Coming back in, we'll let you hear audio from head Ole Miss football coach Matt Luke talk about the new additions offensively, Rich Rodriguez, in particular, as one of the young men and coaches that I really, really have high respect for in the business. Feel like, when you look at this staff, and especially with Coach Rod, you just know. I mean, you absolutely know that they're going to get better offensively. Now, how things go on the offensive line, those are a lot of questions. But, I'm not of the belief that Ole Miss is devoid of talent. I think they've recruited at a very, very high level and just hadn't been able to, have the consistency, and the culture that's needed to, to start reaping some of the rewards of some of the kids that they were able to recruit. Now, I know coming off of a probation with so much surrounding your program, Demetrius, and you look at that and you talk about Matt Luke, Ole Miss did sign a very, very good class last year. They're in the process of really doing well in that state. And with the battles that they have to go through with all the SEC West schools, you're on probation, and you look down the street in Starkville, Mississippi, and Dan Mullen was having a lot of success before he moved on. Talk about just the ability to be able to convince kids that Ole Miss is a place, to come and continue your collegiate football career with having so much surrounding the program.
Yeah, I think Ole Miss is an interesting place. I don't really know how he's even got guys to come there. I think
the Grove.
I think he's really selling a good foundation. I think he's trying to really do it the right way. I think he understands the situation that Ole Miss is in, and he's really trying to build it from the bottom up the right way. So at the end of the long run, he sees this end goal of being back where he thinks Ole Miss can be, because Ole Miss does have a lot of potential. Right, it's a big recruiting ground. We all know that. When you're talking defensive tackles, Mississippi is one of the best states to go get you some defensive tackles, or anybody on defense.
I don't know about you, but we're going, and for those that don't know, Demetrius and I will be in attendance as we're heading to Oxford to cover this year's Arkansas Ole Miss football game. But I can't wait to get down to the Grove.
Definitely.
I'm just going to keep it real.
And I honestly don't know anything about Mississippi high school football.
Right.
So that's something that I'm even interested to kind of taking a peek at when I go down there.
I think Mississippi high school football, Demetrius, is kind of like Arkansas football. A lot of hidden gems.
Right.
The state's just real small that they don't get the proper, exposure. But, I mean, I'm telling people, we've watched KJ Jefferson. He's going to be a sleeper. He's one of those kids coming out of the state. Then you look at the young man from, let me see, who all can we name that are great Mississippi products?
Marcus Dupree.
Yeah. The greatest Mississippi product, wouldn't you say?
Marcus Dupree, yeah.
Absolutely. But, when you look at Ole Miss, like I said, they're going to be a lot better than what people anticipate. I think they're going to, this team in the SEC, because Arkansas and Ole Miss are going to play that very first initial conference game, and this is early in December. I believe they're going to hook up second weekend in September. So somebody's already going to, have a conference win under their belt before we even get into the meat. Because there's a gauntlet, Demetrius, and we've all seen it. You and I have seen it in the SEC. There's a period in that football schedule where you have to go through a gauntlet of about 3 to 4 games, and sometimes 3 of those 4 are on the road. And I think Arkansas, and that's the one thing I can say about this Razorback football team. The schedule is very gracious for them, very gracious, not the tough non-conference schedule that most in the West will be facing. I mean, think about it. A&M's going to have to go in right out of the chute, play Clemson. Alabama's going to play a tough one. Auburn's playing a tough one. LSU's going to be going up against a great non-conference opponent. And I think Arkansas doesn't have to do that. And with the mature defensive front, kind of a mature football team, I think Chad Morris has to be excited for year 2. And now on the flip side with Ole Miss, to me, a year away. I'm going to go on record and say they're a year away from really getting things going under Matt Luke. And I think, Demetrius, a question I want to ask you, as we're coming to the closing segments, for those that really want to get in, you can call us here at 601-7400, area code 479. Matt Luke, being a former player, a former offensive lineman at Ole Miss, Houston Nutt, coached here at Arkansas. It has to really, and in particular football, when you get to go back, Steve Spurrier comes to mind. When you get to go back to your alma mater and coach at that school, Barry Lunny, the passion in which you recruit at is totally different, don't you think?
Oh, it has to be, because we were talking about how Fayetteville has your former Bulldog getting ready to come back and coach that we had on earlier this week. I just think you already have a sense of pride. You have a sense of loyalty to the program to get it back to the glory days that you once had. Right. We won't name any names, but we were talking off air about how there's some grandkids over there at the University of Arkansas, that's not going to let their child not have a great time like they did when they were at the University of Arkansas. And I think when you're a coach and you're a former player, you have that same type of vibe. You have that same type of fear. You have that same type of energy to let young men feel that same experience that you got when you were at that university.
See, the thing that I noticed around the university, and there's been so many changes during our time covering this program for Demetrius and myself, is the energy that's been infused throughout all of the athletic program with so many new coaches. And you got to think about it. They've had quite a few coaches over the last 3 or 4 years, not, necessarily just a football or basketball change, but they've had some, some gymnastics, some track. They've had a lot of alterations. Soccer has had a new addition at the coaching position. And all these coaches that have come to this campus have added a different type of recruiting philosophy and, like I said, an infusion of energy. And you can start to see from the energy those coaches demonstrate from opening day of press conference to what those their programs are starting to do in performance-wise, SEC related. And I think, you look at what Coach Musselman, there's a lot of talk here since he's taken the job in the recruiting front about just how he's able to market his program. We've talked to some individuals, Demetrius and myself, off the record, and a lot of people say he has a little bit of the Calipari type as far as branding and marketing his program and being, what some say one of the elite motivators. And I think that's a lost art, Demetrius, is coaches that have that motivational quality that when all else fails, kids just want to play for you. I think Dabo Swinney has it. I can see it in Nick Saban. And to a certain degree, Jimbo Fisher there at A&M tends to have that aura about himself.
I think anytime you're a national championship winner and you've been on that level, you have to be a great motivator. You have to know how to get that mental edge on the team because when you start getting to that level and when you're talking championships or that championship stretch where you're in the Final Four or and you're in the semifinals. When you're talking athleticism, you're usually even, or you're usually on a even playing field when it comes to athlete versus athlete. So you have to have that mental edge to know how to motivate your players because that's going to be that little bit of edge that makes you go on and win that national championship or go to the next round to win the championship. So I think again. To be great, you have to have that edge to motivate the people around you to ultimately get the end goal, which is to win.
When I look at it, and the biggest question is, what will the SEC be the year of position wise? That's my biggest and most intriguing thing that I'm going to go into. You think it's going to be a year of receiver?
I think the game is going to an air raid where
I think that could be possible.
You have to stretch the ball.
So what you're saying is you think that we'll have more receivers that will be making their way to Hoover than what we normally see.
I didn't say that.
Because, last year we've seen a lot of offensive linemen.
Because I think SEC is known for defensive tackles and just the front line in general. You talking offensive linemen as well.
Devil's advocate.
What's up?
SEC reps for Arkansas. Which three do you anticipate that we'll see?
Say that one more time.
Which three will be representing the university at SEC Media Day? Yeah, I'm just playing devil's advocate. Who would you expect?
I don't really know. I don't even think Coach Morris knows that right now because I think it's too many players to really know who really made it.
I think you'll see two.
We know Scooter. I was going to say Scooter. But, I think Coach Morris does something totally different and brings a youngster. I think he's going to bring a youngster so that he can show the future. And if it was me, this is me. Because this is another branding thing that I'm going to do. I'm going to show these younger guys that if you could be that 5-star player and come in and play like the best player on the team, I'm going to set you up for success. Because I think anytime you go to those SEC
you would send a true freshman. You would send a young freshman. SEC Media Day. You would if Trey Knox earned the right to go to SEC Media Day, you would send it?
Definitely, because that means every future freshman that comes here, that's going to be almost a stepping stone that they're going to feel I have to accomplish. Whenever you're great, bro, it's you have to have key mark things as a coach that you've done, and I think you rarely see freshmen come to the SEC Media Day. That's going to be a whole nother subject, exposure and branding in itself. The first coach to bring a freshman. I don't know if Johnny Football went with A&M. I'm not really sure.
No, he redshirted, and I don't even think he never went to SEC Media. No, he did his third year, sophomore year. he went. So he would have been
so again, it's even unheard of coaches to even bring freshmen to it. But I think the situation that Chad Morris is in, he has to do something to stand out. He can't stand in. He can't do the norm. You can't go 2-10 and then expect to.
What's my point? I would bring a freshman. I think you have to be in Alabama or somebody to be able to do that. I think Arkansas and Chad Morris. I don't think they've. Arkansas is a program that has nothing to do with Coach Morris because I think Coach Morris is going to have those elite players that make their way to Fayetteville during his time. But I think, up to this point, you hadn't done enough. I think a freshman, putting a true freshman out front for this program right now, especially if it's Trey Knox, and Trey is, I only see 3 years with the young man. I think that would add more pressure. But it's something that I don't. It's not something that I don't think Trey can handle. That's a good point.
You're telling me he's 3 years. Okay, Chad Morris hasn't had a guy drafted that was his guy yet.
Right. Great point.
He hasn't had his Alex Collins yet, as to say. So to me, as of right now, Traylon Burks is his Alex Collins. If I had to make a,
are you saying Trey Knox?
Trey Knox, excuse me. You're right. I'm sorry.
See, because they both. It's kind of weird. I get it mixed up. Traylon and Trey. It's.
But to me, again, I don't think it's far fetched because again, you have to do something to make people talk about your brand. Even though you're in a losing season, you have to do something to keep the cameras on you.
And we're gonna come up with a nickname for Traylon and Trey. We're gonna call him T Squared.
You can call him Steve, man. That's prime time. He's gonna be the next Deion. He's gonna be Deion Sanders for Arkansas.
That is going to be, in my opinion,
he has to be that superstar. He has to be that. Not necessarily Odell Beckham extra, but he's going to be that guy that kind of is going to be within the next 3 years. He's going to be that signature draft pick that I guarantee you that Morris can look back and say.
And I think I'm one of those. I think Traylon and Trey will be to Arkansas future wise, and not only for wide receivers, but every position like a Julio Jones was for Alabama.
Absolutely.
I think they're going to be those type of program, faces of the program that kids are going to look at down the road. I look at Deshaun Watson for Clemson. I think Mike Williams played a big part at Clemson, for getting those big receivers. If there's no Mike Williams and Sammy Watkins, then there's no Kevin Ross, T. Higgins, the type of receivers that they were able to bring to their program. No Julio Jones, there's no Jerry Jeudy. So I think there's always people that are faces to your program. And I do believe, Demetrius, I'm of the same belief as you are. Trey Knox has that ability right now as a true freshman. You can just see him. The young man just oozes with confidence. It's like he just walks on the football field and the drip just won't stop dripping.
That boy said the drip. and another thing, I think from a branding standpoint, for Morris, it shows the type of freshman that I want.
Right.
When you look at Trey, you wouldn't think he was a freshman. He
polarizing freshman though. He's very polarizing.
He looks the part.
Yes.
And to me, that's what SEC Media Day is almost like. Bringing your biggest bulldogs to the fight. They may not have the biggest bark, but you want to bring that's the eye test game to me.
Right.
You want to bring guys that stand apart, that look like the guys you have on your football team. You don't want to bring these little guys.
Because you've heard me say time and time again here on this show and off the air, if they're going to bite, they're going to bite when they're little.
Absolutely.
That's just how I've always been taught. And Trey Knox is going to be special, Razorback fans. I'm telling you, the SEC, get ready. Number 7 is going to be a problem. He's not only going to just be a problem his freshman year, but he's going to be a problem each and every year, each and every Saturday, every snap. Chad and his crew, they have to be very, very happy, and we are real, real happy. It was a great show. I want to give our insight. Thank you to my guy for all of the good SEC talk. It's always good getting some stuff from Demetrius when we talk SEC football. It does something to him. You just see his face light up. For those that saw him on the double screen today, you can just tell. Demetrius in SEC football, he lives by that slogan. It just means more. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. But we also want to give a shout out for all you viewers. We love all the support that you give us each and every day here on OTH. And for myself and my guy, we'll see you tomorrow. It's On the Hill with Pat Jenkins on KDSJ 479. You guys have a blessed one. Holla.
MJ with the heat.